I'm out past curfew, and I think the movie Serpico is boring. What are you gonna do about that?
If you clicked on this video and if you don't like the Velma show, you're just a misogynistic piece of work. Yeah, that's right. How does it feel to be part of the problem? Nah, I'm just kidding, yo. I hate that piece of dog shit. What's up, everyone? It's your boy G, and depending on when this video comes out, the Velma show has finished season 1 and I watched it all. And honestly, all I can say is this show really sucks. Like, really sucks. Hell, I even knew it would from the beginning. But if you don't know, the Velma show is a new adaptation of the Scooby-Doo IP that follows Velma being the head lead. You're probably wondering a lot of things, like, where's Scooby? Well, the Velma show is an adult cartoon, so WB didn't want Scooby to be a part of that. And it's like, if that's the case, why continue making this show? An adult Scooby-Doo show sounds 100 times better than what we got.
Step out of the van, please. Punch it!
Also, you're probably wondering, why does the Scooby Gang look a little different? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but the show is written by Mindy from The Office. So boys and girls, what you got yourself is an old-fashioned self-insert. Super. While I was watching the show, I had so many questions like, why am I doing this? But the reason why I watched the show is because I wanted to truly see how bad this show was. So when I was watching the show, I watched it neutral. I didn't compare it to every other Scooby media there was. I didn't care if the show had bad writing. I just watched it and hoped maybe this shit covered show has a gem or two in there. So grab your keys to the mystery machine and it's time to solve some mysteries.
This is my story, told my way.
I hate this channel.
No!
Okay, there's a lot to talk about, so let's get some stuff out the way. Let's talk about the Scooby Gang and how they've been character assassinated. And I know there's been a lot of other versions of the group who are different from the status quo, but at least for them it works. Here it just feels like they just wrote other characters for other shows and just used the Scooby IP. So let's start off with the differences between the characters. Velma is the main character of her own show. She is the super cynical, woke character who will call out the patriarchy or point out women's issues with her meta comments. Oh yeah, she's also a total bitch. Like I can't believe this type of character didn't fit well with the audience, consistently mocking them over and over with no punchline. So in the show, Velma is like this because her mom is missing, and after the whole town couldn't find her and accepted that she's gone, Velma doesn't accept it and in a way blames everyone in the town for not even caring. And the way she does it is by pulling the victim card over and over again. And despite that, I feel like it could have worked for her character having a Velma that no one cares about her and her mom. We've seen characters that had that type of arc, but I guess that's too much to ask. But despite that, the only person that seems to care is Noville. In the Velma show, Shaggy is not here, but we have Noville, which is technically Shaggy since that is his real name.
Shaggy! Like nobody calls me normal!
But Noville is a race-changed Shaggy, and his only thing that he is a nerd who's madly in love with Velma. Oh yeah, and also he hates weed. That's something they wanted to point out in the beginning. And that's it. A lot of characters in this show are one-dimensional, except Gigi, Noville's girlfriend he gets later on this season, and who's actually a great character in my eyes. But she took away Velma's spotlight, so Velma got up out of there. And honestly, I don't know why Noville likes Velma so much. It doesn't get explained. Just, oh, he likes her. And then there was that. And then there's Daphne, who was also race swapped to an Asian woman, who was also friends with Velma, but then became enemies, and then lovers. Yeah, around this time, this is when the character writing gets a little better, because Daphne is written to have wants, and we get to see that with her being adopted and wanting to find her real parents, which she does, and it's lackluster. But after that, her and Velma become a thing. Why? Don't know, because Velma's an ass to Daphne towards the end of the season, and Daphne still wants to be with her. Last but not least, we have Fred. I don't know why people hate this character so much, but Fred is one of the better characters in the show. I think it has to do with bias on my part, and Glenn Howard can play an asshole womanizer as much as Michael Cera could play the awkward guy in any other movie. But I can see why people don't like this version, because he plays a super rich kid who can't do anything without the help of his butler. And yeah, that was even pointed out in one episode, but I think the difference is how the character was played. Like, Velma is a cynical asshole, but she plays plays it as she's not, and she's right about anything she says. But when it comes to Fred, yeah, he's an asshole, but it works so well. And it also helps that Glenn Howard plays him. You see, not only that he plays Fred, he also plays Dennis from Always Sunny, a show that he helped make and wrote. And the beauty about that show is that yes, everyone is an asshole, but they don't win at the end, and that's the beauty of it. But for this show, having Velma being the main character, it's not the problem. It's the fact that she's so unlikable as a character, who ends up finding her mom at the end and having everyone want her. Yeah, Fred wants her too. Get this, she gave him a book about feminism. Being dumb as Fred is, he reads it all and starts to see the inner beauty of women. What's the most craziest thing is that how in the beginning Velma wanted Fred, but when Fred shows interest, she rejects it. But that's just the character. Surely the show isn't that bad. Well, let's talk about it. Episode 1 starts off in the girls' locker room, and quickly we see how Velma and Daffy doesn't like each other. But before anything happens, one of the girls are found dead and her brain is missing and is stuffed in Velma's locker, so she becomes the main suspect. Later, Norville thinks that his missing camera has to do something with Fred, so they both sneak into Fred's house, and that's when we see Velma's hallucinations. And that only happens when Velma's trying to solve a mystery. Norville tries to snap her out of it by confessing his feelings to her, and Velma laughs it off, friend-zoning him. After that, Velma finds the camera and Fred catches her. Convinced that Fred is the killer, she gets him arrested. We find out that he's not the killer. Fred was trying to pay her off to keep quiet because Fred never went through puberty in this series. And that's episode 1. Episode 2. While Fred is convicted, Velma's dad agrees to defend him in court. Velma asks Daphne if she could get a case file of her mom because Daphne's moms are cops and apparently they're bad cops. So Daphne agrees if Velma pays her $500, but then finds out that Daphne is a drug dealer at the school. Wacky stuff happens. Velma's dad pays her the money only if she can prove that Fred is innocent. But in Velma's eyes, Fred is 100% guilty. Why? Because he's white. Ooh, scary. She actually manages to help just by insulting Fred.
But also that he was just another entitled rich guy who might kill someone because he has a tiny dong.
But Fred has a tantrum about it and is declared guilty. At the end, Daphne gives Velma the file and kisses her because Mindy writing. Episode 3. Nothing happens. The school has a girls' self-defense tournament and Velma embarrasses Daphne in front of the whole school by reading her diary. You see what I mean? Velma is written to do terrible things and we're supposed to root for that? Oh, and apparently Fred is Muslim.
Wait, they pulled me out of mosque for you?
Episode 4. So Fred is out of prison, but the whole town thinks he's still the killer while another girl gets killed. So the sheriff comes up with an idea to have Velma desexualize the hot girls while blaming the idea of beauty on men. But towards the end, the hot girls give Velma a reality check on beauty standards. And honestly, I really agree with the girls say towards Velma.
You think every girl deep down is like you, but you're wrong. In fact, your definition of womanhood is even more restrictive than ours.
While that's happening, Nova helps Daphne find her parents, and it's connected to the town's history of crystals. Episode 5. You remember the hot girls that Velma was trying to make ugly? Well, one of them decides to take some advice and dresses how she sees fit. This is Gigi. I love her alt look. She quickly gets into a relationship with Norville, and quick side note, before this episode came out, there was a rumor that Gigi was supposed to be Scooby, and boy, the internet did not like that one bit. Honestly, the way the show was going, I wasn't surprised if that was gonna be the case. All I know is depending on how it went down, it was gonna be a storm. But back to it. So Norville and Gigi start dating, and that prevents Norville from being bossed around by Velma. Hell, Gigi can see how Velma mistreats Norville and is trying to help him realize it. So without him, Velma gets Fred to tag along to one of her mysteries and finds out why Fred's house used to belong to the scientist named Dr. Edna. But since Fred can't really help so much, Velma throws a marching band sleepover to get Norville to help her. After helping her, she realizes how much of a good person Norville is and decides to distract the cops and goes to jail just to find Norville's parents for not telling anyone what happened. They tell Velma about Dr. Edna. Episode 6. So it's revealed that Dr. Edna is Norville's grandma and she used to own the mansion Fred lives in. And it's also revealed that back in the 60s, Dr. Edna was hired by the army to brainwash hippies to join the army. What was this super secret project called? Scooby. No, not Scooby. Scooby with an I. This joke is lazy. Like, we all know Scooby can't be in the show, so I guess this is a way to hint at the dog. Velma goes to Fred's basement with Fred and her dad, and apparently having her dad believe in her fixes her hallucination problems. Velma then finds a note with Jinkies written on it. Another callback to the show. It's connected to Velma's mom. You're probably wondering what's going on with the whole other plot point with Daphne and her people. So Daphne finds out who her parents are, and they live in the mines collecting crystals to sell them to people with up prices, and we get a small backstory on Daphne. Okay, at this point we're at the final stretch, so I'm gonna speed run these few episodes. Okay, here we go. Episode 7. There was a big town party and Velma can't go because girls need to be attended with guys, and this episode's joke that she can't get a date because she's ugly, so she dresses up as a dude, and apparently as a guy all her gross acts is met with praise, and they try and make it seem like that's how life is for a guy, but god no. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or girl, being gross is still being gross. Also, Daphne throws herself onto Velma, not knowing that it's Velma. The gang gets chased by the killer, and we get to see a callback from the old Scooby shows when they ran towards the hallways, which is really cool, so I give them that. The killer drops their phone, but Fred gets kidnapped in the process. Episode 8. Daphne and Mindy goes to the woods to match the picture they got from the killer's phone. Mindy starts manipulating Daphne by acting like her hallucinations are back, and then plays victim when she's caught. This is all main character, ladies and gentlemen. But during the meddling, they find Fred and the 3 brains of the girls who got killed in this lair. But before anything, the lair starts to collapse and the floor under Velma is crashing as she plummets to the unknown, ending the series on a high note. Nah, out of nowhere her mom saves her and they escape. Does Velma's mom explain where was she and how she was able to find them and save them? Well, I'll talk more about that after this. Okay, so when I was watching this, I thought episode 8 was the last episode, but nope, we still got 2 more episodes, and I'm gonna combine the 2 in this little review. So, after saving her, Velma's mom does not remember what happened, and has to keep calm for the next 72 hours, or else she'll never remember. So, Velma tries to have the house back before her mom disappeared, and kicked out her dad's new wife and stepsister. But that didn't work out, and when her mom saw her little stepsister, Velma says it's her child with Norville, and this is when we get the funniest scene I've ever saw in this show.
Of course! How hard can watching it be? Right, Norville? Norville?
Later, Velma ends up accusing Norville's dad of being the killer, destroying their home, and on his birthday too. Norville finally grows a pair and ends the friendship. Later, Velma's mom reveals that she was the killer the entire time. Shocking. Yeah, I know, they were trying, but I mean, it doesn't take 2 brain cells to realize that. Last episode. Fucking finally. Velma doesn't want to believe that her mom is the killer, but with no evidence proving that she's not, Velma notices her mom constantly repeating the same answers and figuring out her mom was hypnotized, and so was Velma apparently. Later, Daphne finds a pocket watch that the killer used on Velma and notices Fred's parents' logo on it, and then realizes that Fred's mom is the real killer. You see, Fred's grandfather was the general who wanted to use Edna's brain swap machine, but when that failed, Fred's mom started working on it after, trying to switch Fred's brain with Velma's, while that Velma has a moment agreeing to it because, get this, she does it for white privilege. I can't make this shit up. And I feel like they were trying to make a joke, but honestly, it feels like this is what Velma deep down secretly wants throughout the whole season. She will constantly complain how men have it better or that white people this, but the way she says it, it comes off that she's jealous and that she wants that sweet, sweet privilege herself. Fred was able to fight off his dad and take the gun, taking some charge and going after his mom, showing some leadership. That's another point for Fred. But this is the Velma show version of Fred. So he gets tricked, and while Fred's mom thinks she got away with it, Norville makes the save. Wondering why he did that? Well, Velma finally feeling some type of humanity and realizes what type of friend she really is towards Norville by, get this, listening to years and years of voicemails that he sent to her because she never listened to any of them. So she tries to apologize to Norville by sending a voicemail, hinting a possible relationship in the future between the two, and that's why he made the save. While trying to save everyone, Norville accidentally kills Fred's mom, and while everyone is going through trauma, Velma shakes her ass, ending the stupid long ass mystery. And that's the Velma show. And look, I can go back and forth on why this show sucks, but trust me, I really tried to give this show a chance. Like, I know 99.999% of people watching this show hate watched it, and I want to see if this show was really actually that bad. And man, was I right. Don't get me wrong, there was like 3 good things about this show, if you could believe that. Some of the things I liked about this is the animation, how polished it is, and how they experiment with some backgrounds, and some of the Easter eggs was really cool to see. I'm not talking about Scooby, more of the Captain Caveman Easter eggs. But when it comes to characters, I only like the few, that being Gigi, and I hope she gets more love next season. A lot of people shitted on his character because how much of a baby he is compared to the older versions, but I think it's the acting performance from Glenn Howard, also Fred's dad, who was voiced by the OG Fred. That's another point for this god-awful show. And while watching this show, I was expecting to see Velma being rated as some type of Mary Sue, but she wasn't. Everything she got in the show was from the work of others, not her at all. She didn't become the smartest in the town accidentally. It was shown that she was failing at school or was the most talented at anything she did. You know who Velma's character reminds me of? Brian Griffin from Family Guy. Like, from everything, trying to be the smartest person in the room, but is actually the dumbest and also being the worst. But at least she got back her mom. As for the show, I don't know how it felt at this. While other shows with female leads such as Harley Quinn or Inside Job does a way better job. Hell, the Harley Quinn show is on HBO Max. Just watch that instead. They know how to write a woman in power show and not fall back on haha men bad haha. For what it is, I hope the writing team learns from this dumpster fire and takes notes, because it's been bought for a 2nd season. And am I going to watch it? No, unless this video does really good. Then I'll poke my head in a few episodes here and there, and I feel like a lot of people are not going to either. So expect a huge difference between season 1 and season 2 when it comes to how many people are watching it. Oh hell, worst case scenario, it could get a big mouth hate fan, where it gets like 7 more seasons and a spin-off. What the fuck? That's going to be it. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment on what you thought about this show. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and till the next one.